Welcome back to the Multi-Orgasmic Millionaire. It's Tilly Storm, and today we're talking about fast-tracking your way to orgasms. Because I know a lot of you get really bored with self-pleasure, or you feel like it takes so long, it's not even worth the time and effort. So why try it? Because it takes forever. If you've ever experienced that your orgasm, it's just taking too long to get there and it's not very easy to get there, it doesn't feel very reliable, and you're wondering how in the world can I have an orgasm more quickly, then today I'm going to help you set your expectation straight about the average time it actually takes a woman to have an orgasm, and then I'm going to show you how to work with your unique path to pleasure to reach orgasm as quickly as possible for you. Now, because no woman is the same and your blueprint to pleasure is different than someone else's, you can't compare yourself from an apple to an orange because it's not fair to you. You can, and you probably do, and it probably makes you feel like something's wrong with you or like you're broken. And I want to say you don't need to do that. So I'm going to share with you how to make it so that your orgasm can come as quickly as possible according to your unique pleasure path. And then I'm going to share the quickest methods to help you sensitize and prime your body for orgasm. So tune into today's episode. I'm so excited to deliver this juicy one for you today. I'll see you there. Welcome to the Multi-Orgasmic Millionaire Podcast, where sexual liberation meets financial empowerment. Join me, Tilly Storm, top 20 sex coach worldwide, on my own journey to becoming a multi-orgasmic millionaire through the mystical art of sex magic, financial savvy, and guidance from my very own mystical yoni oracle. I'm going to reveal how I'm turning orgasms into cold, hard cash. Get ready to dive deep and discover the secrets to living a life of abundance on your own multi-orgasmic terms. All right, loves, it's time to set the expectations straight once and for all, because the time it takes to orgasm is going to vary. Now, a 2018 study of 2,304 women reported that once genital stimulation began, women reached orgasm in an average of 14 minutes during partnered sex. During masturbation, orgasm took an average of 8 minutes. And then there was another study in 2020 that estimated that it took between 6 and 20 minutes for a woman to orgasm during partnered sex with an average of 14 minutes. So it can really range from anywhere from about 1 minute to about 45 minutes to an hour. So that average 14 minutes, it's just an average. Another study found that the average length of time a couple is actually having sex is 7 minutes. That goes to show that if a woman takes 14 minutes on average to get to climax, but she's only having sex for 7, then obviously there's a big gap. And that's why we have what's called the orgasm gap. It's just that women take longer and they're often not being given the time that they need in order to get to climax. Now, if you want to take the amount of time that it takes you to get to climax and make it less, then the quickest way to do that is to discover your erotic language. I talk about the erotic languages quite often on this podcast, but if this is the first time you're ever hearing me talk about them, the erotic languages are basically like the love languages for your sex life. So if you've heard of the love languages, this is like, the erotic version of that. So each human has a different path to pleasure, a different way of being turned on. You can be an energetic, a sensual, a sexual, a kinky, or a shapeshifter. And a shapeshifter is just a little bit of a combination of the previous 4. If you want to fast track your way to climax, then it becomes very important to figure out what is the route, what is my core erotic language. And once you figure out what your core erotic language is, you can look at the specific types of turn-ons that fits that language, and you can look at them and be like, you know what? That is actually the thing that turns me on the most. And if you go to that and that becomes like the thing that you go to first, then you're likely going to get where you want to go quicker. And you can take out a lot of the time just exploring other things that might not actually turn you on. For example, let's say that you're an energetic and your partner starts touching your genitals right off the bat. Well, an energetic generally doesn't enjoy genital stimulation unless there's been a lot of anticipation and tease, a lot of buildup, a lot of play throughout the day, a lot of really stimulating their mind before genital stimulation happens. So if you're an energetic and your partner doesn't understand these things about you, but your partner comes at you with that direct contact that might feel overwhelming to you, then your body's going to shut down. And when your body is shut down, then it's obviously going to be resistant to the experience of pleasure. So you might try and override that unconsciously, thinking that, well, maybe I should get turned on if my partner's touching my genitals. Maybe there's something wrong with me if I'm not, right? And then you start engaging in that behavior, but that behavior doesn't actually work to turn you on. And then you're left wondering, oh God, why is it taking so long? Why am I just not able to get there? When really the problem isn't that you can't get there. It's just that the types of activities you're doing to get there aren't working for you, dear. Let's keep going with the example that you're an energetic. If you're an energetic erotic language, then what you're really going to need is a lot of barely there hovering touches, maybe even just blowing on your genitals, just hardly touching, maybe even a soft tickle. And once you experience that soft, barely there touch, then you can slowly build up the speed and the pressure. The problem with this is that if your partner doesn't know how to provide barely there hovering touches, and he's fumbling around trying to figure out how you can even feel anything because he's barely touching you, and then all of a sudden you do, and then you're like, oh my God, that worked, right? Like I'm actually getting turned on right now. So what I want to share with you is that depending on your erotic language, you're going to have specific types of sexual activities that are going to be more interesting to you, that are going to turn you on more. And that's going to vary from erotic language to erotic language. So that's why it becomes extremely important for you to figure out what your core erotic language is, because when you do, you are empowered with the ability to communicate those things to your partner, even if your partner doesn't understand. And if you're not familiar with the erotic languages and you want to discover what yours is, then I want to encourage you to book an erotic language assessment call at the link in the show notes, where I'm going to walk you through and talk with you about your unique turn-ons, what's going on for you in your sex life and relationship, and what your specific blocks and obstacles are. And we can really work to discover what your specific language might be. So go ahead, go to the link in the show notes, book the call, and I'll see you there. Now, the third thing that I wanted to discuss today is the quickest method to sensitize and prime your body for orgasm. This is such an important one because once you have figured out your erotic language, now it's just working with your body to get there as quickly as possible. If you are desensitized, if you have required a vibrator to get to orgasm, which, by the way, most women use vibrators because it gets them to orgasm the quickest. If you don't want to use that anymore and you want to be able to have the ability to experience orgasm without it, but it takes longer, this is normal. Okay, there's nothing wrong with you. You're very unlikely going to ever get to orgasm by any other means at the speed that you could with a vibrator, and that's just a fact. So If you don't want to use a vibrator, then you have to expect that it's just going to take longer. So to get to orgasm without a vibrator in the quickest way possible, you want to make sure that your body is sensitized and primed to experience pleasure. And the number one way to resensitize your body is to start a jade egg or a yoni egg practice. This practice is the ancient Taoist practice that allows you to reconnect with your pussy, to build sensate focus, to do different squeezes and releases in your pelvic bowl, to really sensitize you to the sensations down there that might be a little more subtle. But if we're very desensitized, if we dissociate in our bodies, if we feel numb, if we feel disconnected, then experiencing any sense of pleasure is going to feel difficult. So the jade egg or the yoni egg practice is designed to help you reconnect with this part of your body so that experiencing pleasure is actually easier and quicker because you're more sensitive to the sensations that you feel down there. And the way that it works is that the jade egg or the yoni egg, it actually massages different reflexology points in your vaginal canal. And when these reflexology points are activated, then you're going to begin feeling more. Now, there is no specific science to validate reflexology, but if it's something that you're interested in and it calls to you and you believe in a lot of the traditional Chinese medicine practices, then it's definitely something that you can try that works for you. But if you're someone who's super skeptical of that sort of thing, well, there isn't any science to back it up because it hasn't been studied. So you just have to take it as anecdotal evidence and just know that many, many, many women have done the jade egg practice and they report having way stronger and longer lasting orgasms, that they happen more easily, that they happen more quickly. And I will absolutely second that from my own personal experience and the experience of hundreds of clients that I work with in my Sex Goddess Group program. So it's definitely one of the best methods to not only sensitize your body, but to get it ready for sexual experiences with a partner, especially for penetrative sexual experiences. So if you are someone who you feel like it takes forever to get turned on, then doing a jade egg practice before you know that you might experience a sexual encounter with your partner can be a way to prime your body, to get ready so that it doesn't feel like it takes 30 to 45 minutes of foreplay before you're there in your head. So starting a jade egg practice can be a powerful way to cut down the time it actually takes to get there just by getting your brain ready. Now, if you're interested in learning how to start a jade egg practice, then you can go download my How to Start a Jade Egg Practice e-guide. You're actually going to get it as part of the 5 Days to Epic Pleasure and Passion mini course. So look for the Pleasure and Passion mini course at the link in the show notes. And the Jade Egg e-guide, How to Start a Jade Egg e-guide, will be in that mini course. So go download it and you will learn everything you need to know about how to start a jade egg practice. And I give you 3 warm-up practices and 3 jade egg practices for you to start on your jade egg journey today. And I will say that another method that can really work for women, and you're probably not going to like it, but it does for some women, not all of them, but actually scheduling sex can be a turn-on for some women. Because let's take, for example, a sensual erotic language person. A sensual tends to really struggle with the transition into being sexual, from their everyday life to being a sexual being. And they tend to be slow to get into that space. So when you actually schedule sex, you have it in your brain that something sexual is likely to happen at a specific day and time. So your brain is becoming primed. It is already thinking about and anticipating something happening. That has you thinking about it more. And it allows that transition to happen more seamlessly, more gracefully. so it doesn't feel so jarring to sensual. Not that that's going to work for everybody again, but for a lot of my sensual clients, I find that when I get them and their partner to actually start scheduling some sex just so they actually have more of it, because maybe they aren't really having a lot of it, they tend to report that it is much easier for them to get in the mood because it was something that they were already expecting and it didn't come at a time when they were working and they were thinking about the kids or whatever else they were thinking about. And that way, it just feels more seamless. So, the two best ways to sensitize and prime your body for an orgasmic experience are the jading practice and scheduling sex for some people. All right, my loves, that's what I've got for you today. I hope this supports you on your journey. Be sure to book that erotic language assessment call and let's hop on Zoom and talk about what your unique path to pleasure is. I will help you uncover that and you will be empowered to have more effective conversations with your partner about sex because now you know how your blueprint for pleasure works. All right, loves, talk to you next week. Bye.